What is good, NIO family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one I'm going to be talking about the one and only NIO stock and what you should be looking after for the future. I'm also going to break down what the news, data, and technicals are telling us about the overall market, how this may affect NIO's share price, what just came out with some very important surveys that are super important for the market, and also what the data is telling us about NIO based off this current price action. Before I break anything down about NIO, though, before I get into any more details, I do have to mention a couple of things before starting. Firstly, I'm not a financial planner. Make sure you take none of this as financial advice whatsoever. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire community as a whole. And the last thing is, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo, the link down below, and deposit $100 into the account, you're guaranteed up to 5 free stocks, each worth up to $2,000. And the best part is, any could be a free NIO or Tesla share. The offer ends in just 6 days. Check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. So NIO is actually in a pretty interesting place. Let me just pull it up real quick. Up 1.47% for the day. In my previous video, I predicted NIO would come all the way down to about 7.9 and get a nice bounce off that near the end of the day and close just around $8, maybe a little bit above it. That's similar to what happened. We actually bounced off about $8 flat, and so far it's holding up okay. However, when I look at the current state of the market, we could see something very different for tomorrow. And here's the reason why. Now, we have some big earnings coming out so far. PayPal and Palantir are doing all right, which is good for many tech stocks out there. But you also have to remember that we have CPI coming out for Wednesday. There's not too much data coming out for Tuesday, by the way. Just for Wednesday, we have CPI, and CPI is going to be massive. Before CPI days, we have a tendency of seeing the market either selling off or maybe consolidating. That's typically what happens. But I'm going to break down some levels on SPY that are super important and will give us a better understanding for tomorrow. Now, for the reports that just came out, I also want to note that we had some new surveys coming out from right here, the Fed's quarterly senior loan officer opinion survey. That's very important. And we are seeing signs of tougher loan requirements, right? Very, very important. Alongside for household debt instruments such as like mortgages, home equity lines of credit, and also credit cards. Super, super important. So what this tells us is there is an increased probability of us getting closer to a credit crunch and more tightening of credit conditions, which means the recession could not just come sooner, but it could be even more severe than what the Fed is telling us. This is a very, very big sign for many people in the stock market. This would be bearish news for us going forward. So I'd be very careful when pieces of news like this come out. Now, on top of that, there are articles saying that Apple and Amazon could pump the market up to crazy high levels. The S&P 500 to about 4,400, which means SPY can hit the 430s. However, I don't fully trust these articles. I want to note exactly why that is. I actually think the opposite is going to happen. I think we're going to see a pullback in the market over the next couple of weeks. I will break down exactly why too. Now, for NIO, some articles are saying NIO is a good buy. Others are saying NIO could turn into a penny stock or reach penny stock levels. I don't really think that's going to happen exactly, but it is something we should at least consider and be ready for always just in case. However, when you look at NIO's latest reports, they did not have the strongest of deliveries. They really need to improve their numbers for the company to improve its share price action. Now, price price ratio is bouncing, meaning NIO has some more strength compared to before. And we have a tendency of being green about 55% of the time on Tuesdays, but we're only green like 49% of the time on Mondays. We're actually kind of green today, so we had a better Monday than most days. But because tomorrow is the CPI, I'm sorry, the last day before CPI, sorry about that, guys, the last close before CPI comes out, we might see a lot of hedging, which could negatively affect NIO. Not much going on the short interest, and NIO also has very low volume, only 30 million. And finally, short volume a little down on NIO. So far, very mixed signals. I am seeing some negative signs right here. There's a declining MACD right here. Also on the RSI, we're continuing to see a decline, forming what could become a negative divergence. I mean, it's not really confirmed just yet, but this is telling me NIO might actually slow down very, very soon. Now, what else is important is how SPY has a tendency of affecting the market in NIO. And SPY has a tendency of being heavily correlated with the QQQ. That sounds crazy, but when you look at the charts, it's very evident right now. And we are, excuse me, sorry guys, we are respecting this inverse head and shoulders like formation I see it so far, and this is suggesting we might actually see the market sell off a bit. We could even drop lower if we break down. For now, could this be a drop before one last pump after CPI? I'm not too sure about what CPI is going to bring, but for tomorrow, we are stuck in this channel for the time being, just like how we were stuck in this one, which led to a big break to the downside. This one could lead to a break to the upside or either direction, but for now, all I'm seeing is us still continuing to remain in this unless we get a break. We have a negative MACD forming potentially some negative signals. PPO has crossed over to the negative side, and the RSI is losing some strength. So what I'm seeing is tomorrow we're likely going to gap down just a little bit, try to get a breakout. There might be a false breakout and a failure. And we might see a lot of consolidation, maybe a sell-off by the time we close because of hedging. And we could see SPY actually get closer to about 410. Very choppy, nothing too low, nothing too horrible, right? I could see the 410s tomorrow. And I'm thinking we're just going to remain in this channel for the remainder of tomorrow. And then we're going to make a big move depending on CPI. Now, could this be a giant like bull flag like pattern where we're about to get a breakout to the upside after CPI? It's a possibility. But at the same time, you can't always look solely at technicals during big events like CPI. So unexpected things could also happen. But for now, I'm seeing choppy price action, us being range bound again, and maybe closing a little bit red tomorrow, right? And then what that tells me is we're likely going to see the QQQ in a similar state. This did outperform SPY a bit, but looking at the formation, we have a negative divergence forming. Uh, we pumped to a higher high, but the RSI made a lower high. If we start selling off a bit, this would tell us that the negative divergence is playing out, right? If that's the case, this could mean some downside for tomorrow. If we start selling off as early as tomorrow, it could even mean that this may still be developing if we do pump more tomorrow, thanks to like other earnings. But if we do pump more tomorrow, then I'm going to be watching for a sell off by CPI. So we either start selling off tomorrow on the QQQ or by CPI time. My best assumption prediction would be us starting to sell off tomorrow. A bit of a sell off on the QQQ could get closer to where the 200 EMA is. That's what I'm seeing on the QQQ. The SQQQ may remain bullish, in my opinion. We are forming a bullish divergence. This thing made a lower low, price is making a higher low, so this thing might start pumping to the upside. Why? Because the QQQ may come down. And all of that is telling me, in essence, that NIO may be negatively affected by all of this. Now, not saying that it has to like crash from here, but I think what NIO is going to do tomorrow is try to pump in the morning, trade sideways a little bit, then make its way down to 7.9 or even lower than that and close a little bit red tomorrow. That's what I'm seeing for NIO. And I believe we're going to get a slight sell-off right before CPI. I know it's unfortunate, but that's what the charts are telling me, and I believe that's very likely. All right, so I'm going to keep this one short. Thank you all so much for listening. Don't forget about the Moomoo link, which is down below in the description. I also have some merch for you guys around the comments section if you're interested in buying anything. And with that said, I thank you all so much for listening. The market to the moon as the long term is still incredibly bright, and peace out.